right, what's going on, you guys? Nick here with Nick Strength and Power. I've got a couple of interesting stories for you guys today. The first story that I have for you guys today, Derek Lunsford, 212 Olympia fan favorite. He also at one point was the runner-up at the 212 Olympia. Most recently, placing fourth at the 2020 Mr. Olympia. We finally got a physique update from Derek as we're getting closer to the show at 3.5 weeks out, a training session with him and Hani Rambod, who is his new coach for this year's Olympia prep. In the past, he had been working with JB Prep. It seems like that wasn't working for him, especially with the drastic difference between his 2019 conditioning and his 2020 conditioning, which I believe conditioning for him and a little bit of flatness on stage was really the main reason why he slipped in placing last year. Conditioning was really important at last year's show, seemingly more important than in years past. You had a guy, Sean Clarita, come in absolutely shredded out of his mind, and even though not the biggest guy on stage by far, in some cases 30 pounds lighter than a lot of the guys he beat here, but his conditioning was so good he won the title. So Derek gave us this physique update, and Derek looks phenomenal, almost to the point where I would say, Derek, you could make a case for Derek switching into men's open bodybuilding. I mean, the guy is gigantic. You look at his upper body, you look at his back, the roundness and fullness that he has. At what point would we want to see this physique in men's open bodybuilding instead of 212? At what point does he outgrow that division? And at what point does maybe trying to meet that weight cap affect the way he looks on stage from a conditioning standpoint? Maybe 212 is simply too light for Derek. I believe this offseason he was over 250 pounds. He was huge in the offseason for this Olympia. But it's interesting to see how good he looks and how big he looks for a 212 guy. And you've seen these guys in the past like William Bonac. Keep in mind, Hadi Chupin, before he became a top Olympian in men's open bodybuilding, he came from 212 and became a top Olympian. Bonac came from 212 and became a top Olympian. This is not unheard of. And just based on what we've been seeing from Derek, I wouldn't be surprised if in the next year or so he announces he's switching to open. I think he looks like he could do extremely well in open bodybuilding. But when it comes to 212, I think he looks on track so far. We're going to see how different he looks using a different coach for this year's Olympia. But I'm really going to be looking closely at conditioning for Derek this year. That's the main thing that I want to see is a lot better conditioning than last year when he got fourth place. He still has to go through George Peterson, who took third. He still has to go through Kamal El Gargani, who took second. And he still has to go through Sean Clarita, who won last year. And potentially, he's going to have to go through Keon Pearson because in my predictions, I think Keon is going to be top 3 this year. But so far, a good look for Derek. Now, next up in the news, another physique update from Regan Grimes. And I think fans are getting a little bit more optimistic and a little bit more excited to see Regan on stage this year. Posting 2 more front double bicep poses where honestly he looks really good. This is a really good pose for him and showing off his V-taper, showing off his lines, showing off the small waist that he's got. Those classic attributes for a men's open guy that he's really been using to his advantage. Last year, you guys need no reminder, he took 15th place. Again, my biggest thing was size. These updates that Regan is putting out, he certainly looks bigger. He looks really good. And I think the consistency of these updates, that they all look good. Everything that I've seen from Regan recently, he looks on point. And I'm curious if he does significantly better than 15th place. What if he winds up not only cracking the top 10 this year, but what if he winds up being in the conversation for top 6? Now with Regan, I honestly don't think that's out of the question. Regan has so much potential. He has all the tools to be a top 10 Olympian, to even potentially one day be a top 6 Olympian. Now, could he be one of those freak bodybuilders that go from placing pretty much dead last to the next year being in the conversation to win? Could Regan be one of those success stories that we've heard so many times in bodybuilding? Let me know in the comments down below. Now, next up in the news, Patrick Moore at 4 weeks out, a guy we haven't really talked a lot about since he won the Cali Pro to qualify for this year's Mr. Olympia, looking to get some redemption from his 2020 season. We didn't get to see him on stage at last year's Olympia, so he took that time to add on size and make improvements. We saw him in 2019 on the Olympia stage where he became a top 10 competitor, a top 10 Olympian, one of the best bodybuilders in the world. And we're looking to see this year if he can improve upon that placement as well as improve upon the areas that he needed to improve upon, one of which being his back, as pictured in this photo, comparing his 2019 Olympia appearance back lat spread to his current back lat spread. And I'll tell you what, guys, it looks like he has made significant improvement, especially to his lower lats. I mean, you can see a significant difference there. And honestly, this is going to be an exciting Olympia. I cannot wait to see what happens this year from the aspect of there's so many up-and-coming guys right now. There's so many guys that have placed decent but haven't placed great. But then there's so many guys that have placed great. And a lot of these young up-and-coming decent guys, this seems to be the year they're breaking out. This is their year. So many fresh faces on the Olympia stage like Patrick, Nick, Ian, Hunter, all these guys, Justin Rodriguez. I've said it before, I'll say it again. I think this year is going to be a breakout year for these newer guys, these up-and-coming guys. I think they're going to see a lot of them take over that top 6. The question is, will Patrick be one of them? Now, next up in the news, let's get to the meat and potatoes of this video. The reason why you probably clicked, and a lot of you guys probably have sent me a message about this very same topic. Melissa Bumstead, the sister of Chris Bumstead and the wife of Ian Valliere. So I'm sure you guys have seen this going around. It's really made its way through pretty much every bodybuilding media site at this point, in addition to the local news channels, the local news websites that had reported it in the first place. It's definitely making its circles right now, so I wanted to clarify a few things. I've also seen one of the things that a lot of you guys were asking me is, did Chris Bumstead get arrested? The answer to that question is no. There's no record of Chris Bumstead ever being arrested, just his sister, although Chris's name is mentioned in the article. So I was kind of waiting to report on this until it was actually verified, because there were some details that were pretty fuzzy yesterday. I heard about this yesterday. I saw the Reddit post. I saw some articles floating around, but some of it didn't look legit. Now it looks like this is kind of confirmed. So look, I'll just summarize according to what Local 12 News is saying here in this article. They say, on Friday, September 12th, the sheriff office said that Bumstead opened a package after a detective delivered it to her home. Minutes later, investigators served a warrant to search the home. So if you guys don't know, Chris, Ian, and Melissa are in Florida right now. They're from Canada, but while Ian preps for the Arnold and the Olympia, and while Bumstead preps for the Olympia, they're here in the States to finish off those preps. I don't know if they're planning on staying here permanently or not, but they're originally from Canada, if you didn't know, and they're here in the States right now finishing out their preps. So essentially the allegation is that she opened a package from Canada, delivered in the United States, containing gear, PEDs. And essentially that is what led to her being charged with what they're claiming is 6 counts, which I believe is 6 felonies, of a possession of a controlled substance without a valid prescription. This is according to CBS 12 News. So essentially, the thing that makes this worse, if the allegations are in fact true, is the fact that it came from another country. That's the big thing here. That's really the big sticking point. So what are my thoughts on it? Honestly, I'm not going to speculate too much on this, because honestly, I don't know what happened. I don't know who it was for. I don't know who it came from. There's really not that much information in this article besides the fact that it says she's basically being accused of receiving the package. It says she opened it. That's really all she's accused of doing here. That to me is not a whole lot of information to go on. But look, the bottom line is this. Something that we as fans need to accept about the sport of professional bodybuilding is this is what the athletes do. They take gear. They take PEDs. There's a reason why they look the way they look. It's kind of the underbelly of the sport that nobody likes to talk about. And look, some of these guys find ways to get this stuff legally. Some of them don't. In fact, a lot of them don't. And a lot of them take stuff that is technically illegal to take. So I've seen a lot of comments about this, a lot of negativity, but the reality is, if you're a fan of bodybuilding, you've already agreed to accept this. Most bodybuilding fans, at least if they're aware enough of what's going on, they know this is what it takes to be a pro bodybuilder. They know this is what these guys are doing. So if someone gets caught in the process, and again, I don't know if that's exactly what happened here or not, because basically, to me, the article looks like she received a package and that's it. So I guess the point that I'm trying to make is I see all this negativity towards Chris, Melissa, Ian. At the end of the day, this is what everybody's doing. So if you want to speculate on it, you want to talk about it, do it in the comment section of this video. Don't go doing it on Ian's page, on Chris's page, on Melissa's page. I'm sure they're stressed out enough. But again, to the best of my knowledge right now, to clarify, neither Chris nor Ian have been arrested or charged or really anything posted that they have anything to do with this at all other than being related to her. So just keep that in mind. Chris Bumstead being arrested, that's fake news. Now, the final story that I have for you guys today, four-time Mr. Olympia Jay Cutler. Big news for Jay Cutler. He's being inducted into the International Sports Hall of Fame. This is actually a pretty big deal. You typically see with this award a lot of mainstream athletes, a lot of mainstream sports, really big names inducted into this International Sports Hall of Fame. And Jay Cutler, when he's inducted this year, he will be inducted alongside Marcus Allen, Billy Blank, Stephanie McMahon, Peter Westbrook, and great Grandmaster Ernie Reyes. So congrats to Jay Cutler on that. As always, Jay being a fantastic ambassador for the sport of bodybuilding. That's going to wrap it up for today's video, guys. Give it a thumbs up if you did, in fact, enjoy it. Please subscribe to the channel if you have not subscribed yet already. As always, I love you guys. Appreciate you guys. Nick Strength and Power, signing out.